Yasas. This is a revised version of an essay that I wrote called General Political Views. Many people have tried to put me into one political category or another. I've been called almost everything: liberal, socialist, communist, fascist, and even Nazi. The last and communist are the most ridiculous. If you were to ask me, personally, where I belong, I would tell you that, although I was born, brought up, and still live in America, and have no Hellenic blood, I am strictly a Greek patriot and nationalist. But upon hearing that, most would automatically think that I am purely a conservative. In fact, I have views from all over the spectrum, and this essay will explore several of them. I believe in universal health care, including coverage for evidence-based natural medicine and education at least up through a high school or equivalent level, including trade and vocational schools. But there should also be private options for those who desire and who can afford them. The elderly, the disabled, and those who are truly poor should be able to receive benefits, although there are those who abuse them who deserve none. This includes illegal immigrants. I believe in sex education, beginning in the early teens, as part of health class. While we all hope that our children wait until they are of legal age to have sex, this does not always happen. Even if they do, they still need to be aware of the risks and of various options in contraception so that pregnancy can be avoided. That said, I am pro-choice except in the case of partial birth abortions. I'm also pro-death penalty and pro-euthanasia, the last meaning not only the right to die, but also the euthanization of the criminally insane and babies born with severe mental disabilities, which would prevent them from knowing basic things or taking care of themselves when they are older. I believe in harsh punishments, including various forms of torture for certain serious crimes, such as purposefully harming children or the elderly, and especially for harming the nation. I support non-chemical castration for anyone who rapes a child on the first offense, and on the second offense for cases involving adults. But in all of the above, the guilt must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and the criminal must be over 18 years of age, 16 at the minimum. I support rights for children, the elderly, homosexuals, women, the functionally disabled, including those who are physically ill but mentally competent, minority religions, tobacco smokers, raw milk drinkers, etc. By this, I mean that they should not be discriminated against due to their beliefs, lifestyles, disabilities, etc. That said, I do not agree with affirmative action. Helping someone achieve education via adaptive technology, for example, is fine, and so is educating the public so that they can be aware of the work and/or academic potential of certain groups which may be overlooked. Forcing companies and/or universities to have a quota of minorities, whether or not they are as qualified as other candidates, is wrong and degrading. Likewise, I'm against the provision of the ADA, meaning the Americans with Disabilities Act, which states that employers can't simply ask potential employees about disabilities and how they can accomplish certain tasks, and can't just tell them that they weren't hired due to their disabilities. I'm also against firearms in the hands of civilians, and feel that if they must possess them, there should be strict gun control laws in place. Note that I do not oppose airsoft and similar guns, such as BB guns and stun guns, bows and arrows, slingshots, darts, or cap guns. Yes, the last have actually been prohibited in several places, though I have no idea why. For those who may be unaware, cap guns are toys which produce a loud noise, but nothing else. I find the ideas of communism to be childish at best and insane at worst. The idea of classlessness, for example, is ridiculous in modern society. I also don't agree with the notion of violent revolution of the workers, nor, for the most part, of civilians in general. I don't approve of the way in which the American states sometimes act like little countries, instead of uniting as one nation. I could never understand such a thing, and feel strongly that, local laws aside, a nation should be as one. But I don't believe in centralization USSR style, as this is very dangerous, not to mention economically and culturally harmful. Furthermore, people should never receive the same amount of money when their work is vastly different. They should be entitled to their own private property and should be allowed to own their own companies. I despise anarchy and don't believe in direct democracy, nor do I support globalism, except in very limited instances, as I feel it is eroding culture and patriotism. I don't believe in constant protests and strikes which harm the economy via blocking traffic and or crippling the transportation system, nor do I ever agree with shootings, bombings, and throwing rocks in shop windows, etc. I firmly believe in ησυχία, τάξης και ασφάλεια, which translates to calm, order, and security. It was one of the mottos of the revolution of the 21st of April, 1967, and I wish it were followed more today. I normally support a democratic form of government, but there are also times when I feel that military rule is necessary. Usually, this is the case when there is an above-average level of corruption, lies, and theft by the government, when most parties have become many faces of one whole, and when there are massive strikes, protests, and demonstrations which run out of control. I'm referring to Greece for the most part. America neither needs nor could handle this type of rule in the proper manner. In any case, there are certain rights which, during a dictatorship, need to be suspended. These include obvious ones like freedom of speech and freedom of the press, but may also include ones which are done to cater to the supporters of the leaders. So they may strip rights for various minority groups, religious rights, rights on what to wear in public, etc. All of these must be returned once democracy is restored, and a good dictator will recognize that his rule is not meant to be permanent, nor passed on to his children. There are also rights such as what to do in your own home, the right to grow your own food, what to eat and drink, the right not to be tortured or executed without just cause by those in power or under them, what to believe, even if you have to keep it private, etc., which should never be touched. In short, the public is a dictator's domain. The home always belongs to the people, unless it can be proven that they are working against the government. Now, am I saying that they have the right to go after innocent civilians and start shooting them for no reason? Absolutely not. But sometimes healing takes sacrifice. Please note, however, that my support of military rule does not mean that I agree with starting or entering needless wars, as America often does, nor do I believe that one nation should force its views on others. In fact, as a nationalist, I rarely care what other nations do, so long as their actions don't affect Ελλάδα, meaning Greece. In short, I have many different views on a wide variety of topics, so trying to categorize me is very difficult. Perhaps The Rambler or Little Miss Wordy might be best.